Now it looks like Diddy could be cooked, as he could possibly get 11 years behind bars. In a few days, Diddy will be officially sentenced, and ahead of that, there have been some big updates I want to share with you guys. Prosecutors are now saying that Diddy deserves at least 11 years in prison, while his legal team is still pushing for a much lighter sentence. And if you've been following this case, you'll remember that back in late August, his lawyers actually tried to get the 2 convictions he was facing, they tried to get him thrown out, and they also tried to push for a new trial. Their whole argument was that these specific convictions weren't meant for cases like this. And now, ahead of his October 3rd sentencing, which is in a few days, the prosecution is firing back, and they're saying that Diddy doesn't deserve a new trial at all, that they have more than enough evidence to support his conviction in the first place. On top of that, prosecutors are recommending that he deserves at least 11 years in prison when he's sentenced this Friday for the 2 counts of transportation he was found guilty of. And one of the biggest points prosecutors are making is that Diddy's victims have been left in fear, and that includes Cassie, which we'll get into that in a moment. Their recommendation comes just days after Diddy's defense argued the exact opposite. His team is pushing for a sentence of no more than 14 months behind bars, basically saying he should only serve about the time he's already done. And prosecutors have made it very clear. They're saying that Diddy was violent, abusive, and left his victims living in fear. And even though he was acquitted of the bigger charges like sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, they're still pushing for at least 11 years in prison off of the 2 transportation convictions from July. They also argue that Diddy held all the power over the people he transported, especially Cassie Ventura. According to prosecutors, they're bringing up the hotel security footage, which all of us at this point have probably seen, showing Diddy, doing all the things that he did to Cassie in that video, right? And they're using that as proof to show how abusive he really was. And to go even further, they want the sentence to reflect what they call decades of unchecked violence, decades of psychological, emotional, and physical damage that he's inflicted. On the flip side, Diddy's defense, they're calling this recommendation draconian. Now, Cassie has also stepped in. She's asking the judge to weigh her suffering when deciding Diddy's sentence. Cassie, who was not only his former girlfriend, but also the star witness at the federal trial, wrote that the court should consider the many lives that Sean Combs, Diddy, has upended with his abuse and control when handing down the punishment for his prostitution-related convictions. And this part is big because we all know that her testimony has been central from the beginning. It's what helped prosecutors build their case that Diddy was running a criminal enterprise that committed and covered up sex trafficking. In a letter to the court, Cassie went even deeper. She wrote, "While the jury did not seem to understand or believe that I engaged in freak-offs because of the force and coercion the defendant used against me, I know that is the truth, and his sentence should reflect the reality of the evidence and my lived experience as a victim." So a lot of this back and forth is happening because ahead of, sentencing, especially in a case of this magnitude, every little thing can play a part. And Diddy's legal team has been making a lot of moves to make sure that he gets the least amount of time possible. One of the bigger strategies has been gathering statements from prominent figures in the entertainment world, people who could vouch for his character, and dozens of supporters have now filed letters to the judge on Diddy's behalf. And yeah, we're talking very big names, everyone from his own mother to rappers like Young Miami. I'm sure you guys know who that is. She is a part of the City Girls, right? They've all come forward to ask for leniency. Diddy's sister wrote to the court, "Yes, Sean has made mistakes, serious ones," and his mother added, "Unfortunately, my son has made some terrible mistakes, in his life." The word mistakes is interesting because some people will see it as minimizing his actions because these were actions. Others look at it as simply acknowledgement of his flaws, but either way, right, it stands out that this is happening so close to his sentencing. Now, most famously, Young Miami, who dated Diddy for about 2 years, also sent in a statement, and what she wrote caught a lot of people off guard. So Young Miami actually ended up vouching for Diddy. She told the court that Diddy is not a danger or a threat to the community and that his kids still need him. She described him as a loving, genuine, supportive, and always encouraging guy. "He motivated me, believed in me, and helped me grow both personally and professionally," she stated. Now, Young Miami actually got a lot of criticism for her letter, and that's for obvious reasons. Regardless of the fact that she dated him, at the end of the day, she's still a woman, and I'm sure you guys know that women have been very outspoken when it comes to this whole situation with Diddy. So even though prosecutors are pushing for these 11 years, there are also a lot of people who are invested in seeing Diddy back out on the streets. Now, a lot of these people, they got business ties with Diddy, so it's not surprising that they'd speak up on his behalf, but the prosecution isn't backing down. And also what's interesting is that at first they were only pushing for about 51 to 63 months. Now suddenly it's at least 11 years. Some people might see this as a strategic move. Maybe they wanted the defense to let their guard down. I don't know, but what I do know is that It shows how high the stakes really are. And you better believe that both, sides are in constant communication behind the scenes. Now, 11 years is a lot for someone like Diddy, who's been balling since the 90s, okay? He's been rich since the 90s, right? Before all this, he was untouchable, one of the most powerful figures in music. And honestly, I'm not convinced that he's going to get the full-time prosecutors are pushing for, because remember, we all thought that he might have gone down for, the worst charges, but he didn't. He was found not guilty on all 3 of them, and now he's only being held accountable for the 2 lesser charges. So the question is he actually going to get 11 years? I'm not sure. I'm just not really convinced. What I do know is that prosecutors are applying a lot of pressure right now. They understand that perception ahead of sentencing can play a huge role, especially in a case this public where so many people want to see Diddy be held accountable. So whatever happens on October 3rd, it's going to send a message. The only question is, what will that message be? If you made it this far, drop a like for the algorithm. Thank you guys so much. Subscribe, of course, and drop a comment. What do you guys think about this? Y'all think that Diddy is cooked? As he could get 11 years in prison right now, as of right now. But we're going to find out on Friday, which is October 3rd, and I'll obviously keep you guys updated. So y'all let me know in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good Tuesday, I believe it is. Yes, is it Tuesday? What day is it today, man? My Apple Watch says it's Tuesday. Yes. Okay, anyway, have a good Tuesday. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Peace.